everything that everybody used to want, but now it's like divided into two. We have the two cultures, and then within the alt-left especially, you have all different kinds of groups mixed, and well, it shows that that doesn't necessarily work, having these cultures together, because they don't have the same goal in mind. And so then why did this begin? Well, because we got laxed on the immigration and let anybody pretty much come in here, basically. I mean, so then ISIS trainers got in here, the bad guys, like that guy trained by ISIS to do a terror attack in the United States. That wouldn't have happened a few decades ago because the ISIS people wouldn't have gotten in, because nobody would want them to come in. But now Antifa, they're siding with ISIS and with Kim, the North Korean leader. Like, basically they're siding with anybody but America. Anyone. I mean, we had 3 hurricanes, major hurricanes. They didn't care at all about Harvey. The Irma, they cared a little bit about. But now that's Puerto Rico. They're saying that we didn't get the aid there fast enough. And, well, that's a territory. It's not exactly in America. But suddenly they just care about that. I mean, anything that's not, actual traditional America right here, they put over what is traditional America. So that did start by letting all these other cultures in that kind of what they call radicalize them, change them to where it's not the same goal, because instead of having people come when they used to have the merit-based system, and they used to assimilate, and they'd be more likely to assimilate if it was harder to get here, and if they had to show what skill that they had to learn the common language. We have a common country, we should have a common language, the one that everybody speaks. That's what the other countries have, that, and if they know other languages, that's fine too. But I mean, if for no other reason you're out and about or an emergency happens, I don't think it's too much to ask to know English. But that's another thing. It's different. The requirements are more lax. But when they had that, people would come in, like when a lot from Japan would come in, and they'd assimilate. They'd want to be here. They wouldn't just come here because they knew they'd get some free stuff. They wanted to be here, and they wanted to become an American, and they wanted to live that with the kind of values that were already here and assimilate well. But now we don't even really give people a chance to do that. I know that the merit-based system is up for discussion, I suppose. I know the Senate's probably not going to do that right now. Hopefully we'll get some better people in there so they can actually do more. There's a whole lot that the House barely passes, and then it gets to the Senate and it gets blocked, so it looks like nothing gets done, and I'm sure that's what the Democrats are going to run on in 2018 or even 20. But if we get more better people in there, like Roy Moore, those kind, hopefully that more like that will get done, like that merit-based system, which most countries have that. You have to go there to do stuff for the country instead of having the country just do stuff for you once you get there and you haven't really shown allegiance to it. That's another thing. People that used to come here, wherever they came from, they'd have that kind of allegiance, so they'd join in. They wouldn't just have their own little places, their own little hideouts, and then depending really like what they believe in or what their purpose is here. Some don't like America at all, but they're just here. And then they do radicalize these people to be terrorists, because if they don't like the country, they don't mind attacking it. And so they get other people that are also more on their side. And so that's a big difference. I mean, when security's down and people come in, it slowly becomes more dangerous that way. And so they have to do more in that way. They have to do more to see who's here, and to not just have anybody come. And people voted on that. It shows, like, the refugee program. It shows people didn't want to have that. And I read the other day that the influx of refugees hasn't been this low since the 80s. And so it shows that we're trying to get there. Well, the leadership is trying to get there, and the alt-right, just to try to know who's here and be more careful, like the travel bans and such, so that there's less chance that there's going to be terrorism from these places that have terrorism all the time. Because people, on a whole, haven't changed all that much, really. But, I mean, when you change the laws that you have and make it easier for these terrorists, then they're going to spread more. And they spread throughout the different parts of the world. Like what happened, though they deny it, like what he says, what happened in Sweden, what happens in Germany when Merkel just opened the floodgates and everybody poured in, and it changed the landscape a lot over there, and there's no assimilation at all, and there's no quota. It's just pretty much everybody, and that doesn't work. The cultures clash that way. Just like here, the left and right always clash. There's not common ground because those guys went on like communists. They always talk about that fascism is a threat and we can't have that, but I just don't see how that's any bit of a threat. I mean, at all. Like the alt-right themselves, they can't even light some torches for more than a day without a huge blow-up from the media and the politicians and such. I mean, there's no threat of anything too much to the right going on, but I mean, you see these Antifa, they have the communist flag, and a lot even say that they want communism. They definitely want socialism. They see that Venezuela and other places had that. It didn't work, but somehow they want that over traditional America. Even if it doesn't work, they just don't want what anybody from the right is suggesting. And so that's what it really gets down to. So in order to try to stop these kind of terror attacks here, whether they're from like homegrown, as they say, or from other places, is to be careful who you have here. You know, if this guy if nobody at ISIS people wouldn't have gotten a hold of this guy, then, I mean, he wouldn't have had all these people. It obviously wasn't him alone, however it was, whether it was a false flag or whether it was a group of people that wanted to get together to attack the Trump supporters, which is what they were, because it was a country music concert. I mean, you're not going to see a lot of the alt-left in there. And however, whatever was behind it, he obviously wasn't doing it alone, that whole setup. There was, some say, other shooters, but if not that, at least other planners that were behind it. And if you just be more careful about who's here, you have a lesser chance of that happening. But we're not really supposed to say anything about how to fix the problem, and how to fix the problem isn't to take people's guns. Just like out in Europe now, the Islamic terrorists are attacking with their trucks and cars and killing about as many as what this guy did here with that. And there's never any talk about taking away cars or anything like that. The gun thing, it's always been that way. They wanted to take them because when people give up their firearms, how can they defend themselves too good? So they always try to amend the Second Amendment instead of seeing what could be behind, what could be the real, what the real problem could stem from. And with the two cultures, the alt-left and the alt-right, I'm not sure how exactly that this can move forward, that the country can move forward, since they're so divided that way. I mean, the alt-left has their own riots going on often. They don't report this, but I read yesterday it's day 19 of the riot in St. Louis because a cop was found not guilty when he killed someone in self-defense as usual. And So it's been that nonstop, and somehow they don't do anything about it. I mean, you have these liberal cities where the cops want to do their job, but they don't allow them to. And so with the people that are already here and already kind of anti-American and acting out and such, you don't want to add to that. Yeah, I don't know how to solve that, but you don't want to add to it is what I think. And so that are my thoughts about what happened and how maybe we can